What's up, guys? It's been a while. I haven't done anything in this room stream related for a month and a half or video related for YouTube, but we are finally now back to our lair in Austin, Texas. Everyone always says the lighting in here is terrible, the dark room that we have here. And I wanted to talk about some of the roster moves that we've actually got coming forward. So we have roster moves from LEC, we have rumors from LPL, and we also have a confirmed move from the LCS. So I want to talk about all these moves in detail, discuss some of the names that have been thrown out for some of the empty spaces on these rosters, and really just give some context to why I think these moves are happening and if I think the moves are going to be successful or not. Before we get into the meat of the video, we've got a word from our sponsor for today's video, which is SignalRGB. SignalRGB is giving away this epic gaming PC that looks like the Nexus. The crystal is surrounded by an infinity mirror, and it can be lifted to reveal the parts inside, which are a 3070 Ti graphics card, an 11900K processor, 32 gigabytes of RAM, and a 1 terabyte SSD. All of this RGB is fully customizable with the SignalRGB application, which controls and syncs RGB devices from any brand. SignalRGB even has a game integration, so you can have your RGB reacting to your abilities that you're casting. To enter the giveaway, click the link in the description box below. So we're starting off with LEC Wooloo's offseason stream, where he talked about a lot of the changes that he predicts are going to be happening, and these were all done on his live stream. So the team that seems to be making the most changes in the LEC is KC. Now we're going to start off with just addressing the first part of this, which is, I haven't even looked at this thread yet, but the bot lane is staying the same for K-Corp, which is going to blow a lot of people's minds. I know the community was up in arms about Targamas being on the team even from winter to spring because he had a lot of communication issues. K-Corp had the videos of voice comms that came out where you could just tell that Targamas was not talking. He wasn't speaking in a way that people feel like a support should. Generally, the people that talk the most on a team are jungle and support, especially in the early game. And it really just didn't feel like Targamas ever stepped up into that role and was calling for things, which people were upset about. But Targamas is staying on the roster, and the reason for this is because Targamas and Kalist liked playing together. They played together last year in the LFL, and they want to keep Targamas on the team until Kalist is able to move up. Kalist is too young right now for the LEC, currently in LFL, so he will be moving up next year. This is pretty much as decided as a move has ever been when it comes to a player hitting the proper age to actually play in the LEC and actually getting the spot. The last time I remember something like this was all the way back when Reckless was too young to play in the LEC for Fnatic, and he had to sit out a full year. And then as soon as he turned, I believe it was 17 in 2014, boom, he was immediately on that Fnatic roster. He played, I think, in Copenhagen Wolves in like the academy tournament system that they had over in Europe in 2013, and Puju and Yellowstar were the people that were replacing him. But this is the first time since then that I remember a spot really just being reserved for a talent, and most people just think Kalist is the real deal. I was actually watching him play Xayah earlier in EU Masters today. Looks like a beast, man. This guy is actually so good. He's part of the reason why I thought Supa was going to get clapped so hard, because normally academy level is significantly lower, I would say, or at least lower than LEC level. And when they played in EU Masters, Supa got absolutely clapped by Kalist. And now Kalist is still clapping people in EU Masters. He's won another another LFL title, and he is almost certainly moving up to K-Corp, meaning that Targamas will be staying so that they can play together when that happens. So let's go into what Wooloo has here. Closer is locked and doing tryouts with them for the replacements, but they are still waiting for him to get his visa. So Closer is going to be the jungler for K-Corp. Bo is out. There was some rumors of him potentially going to SK. Doesn't seem like it's happening right here. Wooloo has SK, no changes in mid jungle despite the rumors. Changes in the bot lane are plausible. I thought Bo would actually fit really well in SK. If you think about who Niski is and what Niski has turned junglers into over the course of his career, it just seemed like something that would make sense. Niski Bo is what people have been asking for over a year now, because Niski is just the jungle whisperer. He is somebody who plays around strong carry junglers extremely well, and that is exactly who Bo is. Now, I think that closer to Bo is a lateral move. I think they're both similar in how they play. They're both insane mechanical players. They aren't the best when it comes to mid to late game. Their team fighting is not stellar, I would say. When I think about team fighting in the LEC, I think about team fighting junglers. I think about players like Oyoya. I think he's extremely good at team fighting. I think Yike, if he's playing carry junglers, he's really good at team fighting as well. But Closer and Bo are more like early game centric carry junglers who like to play in ways to get themselves and their team ahead early, and they kind of fall off throughout the game. That being said, I do think that Closer will perform better, mainly because he's going to be playing with, in my opinion, better players. So mid and top are most likely to get replaced. AD carry, very, very unlikely. Many different profiles are being looked into for said roles. Korean player for top. Wooloo doesn't want to leak the names because he thinks it would harm the org. I'll just go off what people have been saying on Twitter. I've been seeing Twitter threads, and this is information that I think is just out there. People have been discussing it. And some of the names that have creeped up are Chasey and Someday. And I think it would be hilarious because also in the mid pool, you have Abadage, who's being considered like by people. So there's Abadage, Vladdy's in there as well. But there is a outside chance that the 100 Thieves top side actually plays in the LEC. Someday, Closer, Abadage could all be playing with K Corp in the next split. We'll see. I haven't heard how confirmed anything is. Yeah, the other names that we said, Chasey. I even saw somebody throwing out Marin's name. Like Marin might be able to come back and play. That seems so weird to me. I don't believe that at all. But these are people that are going to be coming into K-Corp. I mean, there's going to be changes to K-Corp almost 100% when it comes to mid and top. And I think that this is what the team needs. We saw Socken play for 2 splits now. We saw him play 4 years ago, by the way, in Vitality, and it looks like he hasn't improved at all. He just doesn't look like he's LEC level. I've said it before. I did Power Spike, and I talked about it before. It does not look like Socken actually has any strengths. People were like, oh, what does that mean? Like, he has no strengths. Well, when I look at mid lane, I think that there's different things that you can be good at mid lane. It's a very versatile role. You can be good at control mages. And if you're good at control mages, normally what that means is you're a strong laner, and then you understand how to create space in team fights. You know how to play around choke points and make the most out of your big AoE abilities when it comes to fighting around Drake, or, you know, just holding off certain vision, certain pockets of vision when you're playing around Baron, hiding your ball on the wall on Orianna, things like that, and just really like making it hard for the enemy team to walk into certain areas. Socken is not good at that. You think about his Nico play. He wasn't good at engaging. He had one nice like Nico trick. Probably the best play I saw from him was when he had I believe it was a Varus ult thrown at him. He turned it to a minion. That's nice. That was a cool play. But when I think about Nico, like what skills do you need to play Nico well? I think number one is like creativity, understanding what you can transform into to really just like make yourself catch people off guard. Like we saw, for example, Zweiru turning into a plant in the middle of river, like turning into turning into the honey. That was pretty creative. That was interesting. You're able to get it engaged. Understanding flanking is something that's really important when it comes to Nico. Like knowing where you can hide yourself and when to engage on the enemy based off where they walk up to. Like understanding when you have an angle, you can actually run in, get your flash R proto belt combo off and engage. He's not good at that either. We saw as a Akali, same problem with flanking. He doesn't have a good eye for flanks. I think about his actual like lane phase. Is he somebody who gets big leads in lane, but he doesn't know how to use them? No, he doesn't get big lane leads either. So when I think about everything that goes into being a mid lane player, I just don't really see what Socken is good at. There's nothing that I think that he has as a natural strength that they could index to and could make him like a great player. When you compare that to other people, like for example, Jackie's is somebody who plays melee champions pretty well. He has a good eye for like when he can engage. He has a good eye for kill thresholds. He plays Yone pretty well, Akali pretty well. You can see that being an angle, right? Kind of similar to how Cream was really good at melee champions when he was with OMG. When you look at the other rookies, you have Frescowy. Really good at playing around bot lane. He understands the map well. He understands roaming. He's very cognizant of what his side lanes are doing, and he understands when he needs to sacrifice himself to enable those players. Makes sense to me. You look at Zweiru. Zweiru was somebody who played pretty well on Nico, and he also had a decent clutch factor. A lot of those games that he played in postseason when he was playing Azir, he actually was able to step up when his team needed him. He looked like an LEC player. I don't see any of that out of Socken. I see none of that. There's nothing that I see from him that makes me think that like this guy could be great one day. And even though I would say it's like a low possibility that the other guys I just mentioned, these rookies, end up being top players in the region or like better than Caps or something, like, even though I don't see that happening, they have some skills where when you watch them play, you're like, okay, this is something that could make them stick around. Maybe Frescowy becomes like Niski 2.0. Maybe Niski retires, Frescowy becomes the new Niski in time. There's just no angle for Socken. So that's why these changes make a lot of sense for me. Players from KCB, except Kalis, still too young, and maybe Mainter. These issues can be promoted, but nothing is 100% sure. Later on, there's the Linkus problem. So Linkus is the jungler for KCB. The rumor is that he just rejected KC because he didn't want to be in the main team, and that's why he ended up going to Vitality, because he wanted to play with Mac and Pat as his coaches. Not sure if this is true or not. This is just what everyone is saying online. That's why it's rumors. I'm just telling you what people are saying, so you don't have to go out and source everything and just like try to understand what people are saying. So Linkus is not going to be the jungler, like they said. Closer is confirmed, and yeah, now they have to talk about Thanatos, because Thanatos, we can drop it now. Thanatos is joining Cloud9. It's officially been announced. He is a Korean prodigy top laner. He won LCK Challengers, I believe, with Damwon in 2023 with Lucid as the jungler. This guy's been hyped for a while. People love this guy. I don't watch LCK Challengers. I can't speak to how good he is, but everyone thinks that he is going to be the real deal. From what I've heard from people with experience that watch that region, that watch Korean Challengers, everyone says this guy is going to be insane. And Casey really wanted to get this guy. Turns out that Thanatos chose C9 over K-Corp because he wants to go to Worlds. Cloud9 is a better place to go to Worlds, so it makes sense. Bo likely won't be playing in LEC this summer, not in LFL either. I think the Bo story is so sad, man. Like, when I was watching the voice comms, and when you just hear from like people within the team, I mean, obviously Yamato talks on streams, he talks the world of Bo. I feel like Bo is somebody who tried really hard and he just wasn't in positions to succeed. I feel like it is so fucking hard to play in a team like K-Corp, where you have generally 3 losing lanes. You, like, everyone on your team is losing all the time. And even if they're winning, they're not carrying those leads and ever like winning the game later on. Playing jungle in a team like that is miserable, man. Like, I've played jungle in teams that were bad, and it is such a horrible feeling when you just are suffocated. There's no vision in your jungle. There's no like vision around lanes. You don't know where the enemy jungler is ever because no one's pushing out. The whole game just becomes suffocating, and Bo had to play like that for 2 splits within K-Corp. Just seems really sad that he might not ever play competitive again. If he doesn't find a team until then, KC Bo in 2025 is not 100% sure. I don't know what that means. I mean, maybe they want him back in 2025. Who knows? Linkus buyout was not 25k, and the whole drama surrounding this move will be talked about by Kometo after EMEA Masters. Changes coming to coaching staff. Stake is already out, but there might be more. Just fire all the coaches, man. K-Corp way. All the coaches, bro. Whatever. I guess the coaches are the problem. It definitely makes sense to fire the coaches and the players. Just fire everyone, man. It didn't work, so fire everyone. Okay, SK, no changes. The rumors of Bo to SK look like they're not happening. I've heard support changes have decent possibility, and that Exakick is more likely to stay than DOS, but who knows? Most likely the bot lane won't be playing together. Vitality, Linkus is in, but no more changes. So Linkus over Douglas. Dude, this is a tough for Douglas. Like, I don't think Douglas was good. Don't get me wrong. I don't think Douglas is ready for LEC, but the fact that Vitality changed him, like, his career could just be completely fucked at this point. Like, his value might be so low because he was in a decent team and they only gave him 2 splits. I think that it would just make sense to have like Linkus go to K-Corp, but obviously the reasons for that we already discussed, and then Douglas stay in Vitality. But yeah, didn't end up happening. Giant X, mid and AD locked. Obviously, they're looking for a top. Jungle support, uncertain. They've been doing tryouts with the Antonio and Juhan, but Wulu doesn't think they'll go for them. Interesting, because people were talking about the Antonio as if he was already, like, guaranteed signed. But Wulu says that most likely the Antonio won't end up being in the team. Okay, Fnatic G2, no changes. Mad Lions, no changes for now. Long-term project. Makes sense. BDS, no changes for now. 100% agree with this. I don't think these teams should change roster. Rogue, no changes are planned. Heretics, no infos. Let's talk about the Cloud9 change briefly, which is that Thanatos has been announced for Cloud9. We talked a little bit about it. This guy is considered super hype. He's supposed to be a better mechanical top than, for example, Castle, right? So this guy is supposed to come into the league and be an LCK challenger top that comes in and just smashes people in lane. I think that that's fine for Cloud9, but I'm not sure that this makes them an insane team. They had a lot of problems that weren't just related to fudge and laning. It felt like this team had a big issue with knowing how to fight. And unless Thanatos is coming in and he is confident enough to really like dictate when people are fighting, I could see C9 having a lot of the same issues. Also, top lane is an isolated role. Most of the time, you're not actually interacting with the other lanes in the early part of the game. So it's very hard for him to call fights. Normally, you just need your jungle support to have a really good idea about fight timers. And I think a lot of C9, it felt like JoJo was trying to overforce because people just weren't doing enough. But yeah, I mean, overall, this makes their super team an even more super version of a super team. So that's been announced officially. Let's see how he does. I mean, I'm hyped for him. I think he'll do well. I just don't know if Cloud9 will be significantly better than they were. Maybe it makes them top 2. Maybe they win. But even if they win, it doesn't necessarily mean that they have like hit some like ridiculous plane. Like their goal is to obviously make at least top 8 of Worlds. I think that should be the goal of the best teams of NA and EU. At least top 8. Top 4 is like a stretch goal. If you make top 4, amazing. But generally top 8 should be the bar. If you hit top 8 at Worlds, you've succeeded. If you don't hit top 8 at Worlds, you failed. There's obviously some things that you need to consider, like how the group stage actually works. With the way that Swiss stage is set up at Worlds, you can get to group stage or get out of Swiss stage pretty easily, I should say. I mean, maybe not easily, but you can get through it a lot easier than some other teams can get through it. It really just depends on the draws. When you become a 2-1 team or a 1-2 team, do you draw one of the 2-1 or 1-2 teams that are extremely good, or do you draw a team that is just like mediocre? So we'll see how that actually ends up working. And you know, there's a high possibility that an Asian team ends up not making, by Asian I mean LPL, LCK. There's a high chance that an LPL and LCK team do not end up making it to the quarterfinals just based on draw. I think there's something like last time, I think there was like 66% chance that one of those teams will not end up making it, purely based off the fact that they are going to cannibalize each other, because they will end up a lot of times having to play against each other at some point. All right, last rumor I wanted to talk about, and this one is the one that's most exciting to me. Obviously, I'm an LPL fan, but I think this rumor is insane. So the rumor is that Breathe and Tarzan will be joining Weibo in summer. So Breathe joining from RNG and Tarzan joining Weibo, where he has just been absolutely killing it on the ladder, bro. There was a point where Tarzan was rank 1. He was like 300 LP above rank 2 in Challenger in Korea. And then he had another count that was rank 3 or rank 4 with 70% win rate. It was like 110 wins, 40 losses, something ridiculous like that. This guy did not stop playing the game when he ended up taking a break. He spammed the game in solo queue, and he was always somebody who was very, very good within the LPL. He was always good domestically, especially in regular season, would kind of start falling off, choking a little bit when it came to playoffs. And at Worlds, he has been pretty terrible, I would say. But this is a player who could definitely get you to Worlds, man. I think that this makes Weibo the favorite to get that World slot. If you consider that like JDG, BLG, Top Esports, the clear top 3 teams in the LPL, I think that this move makes Weibo the 4th best team in the LPL. You got like, look at the lineup, man. Breathe, Tarzan, Xiaohu, Light, and Crisp. That is a fucking squad. That is a scary squad. Tarzan knows how to win games domestically. He knows how to make it to Worlds at the very least. So I think that this roster is really hype. It is tough for ZDZ and Xiaohu, who will be replaced on Weibo. It is tough because they don't have many good places to go to, but it seems like they just didn't cut it on a top team. I thought they were okay. ZDZ definitely turned it on towards playoffs. I think Xiaohu, he wasn't like bad. I wouldn't say he was bad, but he wasn't good either. He didn't play as well as he did when he was on AL. So they pretty much are now no longer going to be on Weibo. They're pretty much going to be on bottom teams again. Can't really blame Weibo. I think ZDZ for Breathe, that move is a little bit up for discussion because ZDZ did peak higher than Breathe has in like recent times. But Tarzan is an elite jungler in the LPL. If he's going to join your team, there's not many junglers that are safe. There we go. That's the video. I just wanted to talk about a couple of these roster changes, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. Tomorrow we've got LPL finals, and then we also have CBLOL finals, so we'll be online for all that stuff. All right, peace.